Something? You need to come closer.
It picks up good sound, but you're going to.
Testing 1 2, testing 1 2, testing 1 2, testing 1 2, testing 1 2. 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4.
Good evening and welcome to On the Real TV. I'm your host, Yolanda L. Robinson, and I'm joined with my co-host, Darren Freedom Green. I'll let him introduce himself as well. And tonight our guest is Mr. Paul Perez, candidate for mayor. So we're going to be sitting and we're going to be talking with him. Well, should I say, Free's going to be the one really talking with him because I really don't get too much into the politics. I'm into politics, but sometimes you got to step aside and you got to let grown men have the conversation. You know what I mean? You got to let them talk it out. And I'm willing to do that. You know what I mean? I'm willing to hand over the microphone and let y'all do what you do. But I'm going to do my introductions, and I'm going to sit back. And when it's time for me to chime in, y'all know I'm going to chime in. But I definitely want, to welcome you to the show. Thank you so very much for taking the time to join us. And we do this thing on the Real TV, and I'm going to ask you to do it. I need you to reintroduce yourself as only you can on the Real TV.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me here tonight. It's with great pleasure that I'm here as a candidate for mayor for the city of Trenton. I am Paul Perez. People know me by now. People didn't expect me to be here, but guess what? Hello, I'm here.
All right, once again, I'm Darren Freedom Green. It's good to have Paul in the house. We really want to be clear and concise about where we're going with it, so once we're done, people can know who you are, they can know where you're going, they can know your vision, your goals, your perspective, and why they should elect you as the next mayor of the city of Trenton. So talk a little bit about where you are right now in regards to where you've come from. Talk a little bit about, who is Paul Perez?
Thank you very much. Paul Perez is a regular guy. Paul Perez is the child that's sitting at home right now wondering what's going to happen to him in his future. Paul Perez is the kid that didn't have anything. Okay, Paul, what we had love. We had parents that loved us, who worked hard, who gave us principles, who created standards for us and allowed us to dream. And then demonstrated to us how you achieve those dreams. So that's who Paul Perez is in its foundation. Then Paul Perez went out as the patriot, and he served his country. And I did that as a young man. When young men like me decided to serve time, I decided to serve my country. And the only thing I asked when I left was, can you please leave the city the way that I left it? So that when I come back home, after serving my country and going to 2 different combat tours, while everybody was here discoing and cha-chaing and everything else, I was in combat thinking about my home. But it's very disappointing to see what I found. So that's Paul Perez in his career. And then I'm Paul Perez, the regular guy again. The guy who just wanted to come back home after serving his country and doing good things and contribute to his community. Can I contribute to the community? Can I find those kids who need it the most and provide them what was provided to me? And then somehow lift them up and help them and equal the playing field for them so that they can also be successful. That's who Paul Perez is.
Very well said. So let's talk a little bit about now. We know Paul Perez, the individual. Let's talk a little bit about Paul Perez, the political figure. What made you at this juncture in your life? You could be doing anything. What made you come back and say, you know what? Mayor of Trenton's got my name on it. Talk a little bit about what inspired you to run for the mayor seat.
What inspired me to become a candidate for mayor was, believe it or not, very an easy decision to make. I saw a city that was leaderless. Okay, I saw people who held positions of authority, but weren't leaders. Okay, that's a big difference. And because of their leaderlessness, there were many cascading effects that directly contribute to the poverty that we see in the city today. Okay? And in the poor decision making that we've seen time and time and time again, created concentrated poverty in this city and then took away all the opportunities. And then they wonder why we find ourselves in this mess. And then there's some of them walking around saying, I got 20 years of municipal experience. You know what? Do me a favor. Open that door. Look left and right. Because that's what you're getting ready to get. That's 20 years of their experience. Never been nowhere, never did nothing. For nobody but themselves.
Well said. One of the biggest issues, of course, that jumps out at everyone is the public safety issues. Last year we had 41 murders. I think right now we're up to 13. I'm not sure of the count. But there clearly is an issue with the violence, and we can go into the education. But right now, let's talk about day one. How does Paul Perez begin to change the paradigm and the clear enigma of the violence that's going on and the comfort level of citizens with the violence in this city as our mayor?
Once I become the mayor, what will happen is instant credibility, first of all. We haven't had a mayor in a long time that people respect, number one. Because if you're involved in questionable activity, you can't set the example, period. Okay, period. And then if you don't know how to properly use your resources to protect the public, you will have what you have today. Okay, so if I become the mayor, immediately the first thing I need to do is count my money. I need to know how much money I have. Then I need to count my people. And I need to know how many people I have. Then I need to figure out what are the resources. And then I need to figure out who are the smart people out there that can help me. Right? Because I don't have all the answers. Bring that coalition together and start saying, how come we can't stop bullets from coming into Trenton? Because we don't make any here. Or else we would have jobs. How come we can't stop guns from coming in here? Because we don't make any here. We would have jobs. We don't even cook the drugs that we find in our streets. So they're coming from somewhere. Playing on my military background, I would say, let's please stop the supply lines. Can we start doing that? High visibility patrols. Route 1, 29, 33, 206. Just a high presence. I'm not asking anybody to stereotype people and pull them over. High visibility. Make them think twice. Okay? Make them understand that now this city is being protected. While in the inside, we bring up what's called ceasefire. You know ceasefire. Everybody does. I had the pleasure of being taught at the Harvard University by the founders of ceasefire in Boston, Massachusetts. And it's a good program. It works when you got the right people doing it. So we need a team. And that team looks like this. A competent mayor who understands his role. Clergy that gets involved. Parents, teachers, activists, people. We all need to get out there. And we need to engage these youth who have been left behind. I went to a meeting the other day and a lady said, I know you. I said, how do you know me? Because I saw you on Spring Street talking to the kids. And I said, because that's what I do. And guess what? We were there for about an hour and 15 minutes. We timed it. That was the only time I seen a police officer come around earlier than an hour. Okay? Because they wanted to know what I was doing on that corner. And guess what I was doing? I was talking to the people who need it the most. And they will tell you, this is not what I want to do. If you take opportunity, please, Mr. Freedom, for 1 second, and put it in their hand, they will put down that weapon. But we don't have that opportunity to give them. Right? So when you talk about public safety in Trenton, we don't need Rambo. What we need is opportunity.
Very well said. One of the other problems with public safety, which would probably be 1A, is the clear disconnect in between the police department and the community. And we've never had community policing here, which is a needed variable. Talk a little bit about how you're going to begin to get us to move in that direction with the police department that's been depleted of its forces, a community that doesn't trust the police department, and an administration that seems to be doing its own thing. Talk a little bit about the initiation of connecting police with community as an administrator as the CEO of this city?
Once again, what you have to do is have to come in and immediately establish what's called standard, values, and performance. Okay? If you set the standard and you say, okay, everybody, let's get together. This is my vision. This is how I work. And this is why I want to work. And then you paint a picture that they find themselves in that vision. And then these are the standards by which you're going to be categorized or you're going to be measured upon. Okay? And then so now you're starting to demonstrate what the example looks like that you want them to follow. Because you got to build trust first. And if you don't build trust, nobody's going to listen to you. That's the problem that we have. And if I'm the mayor and I'm studying in City Hall worrying about contracts, I'm not doing the right job. I need to be on the streets, knocking on the doors just like I'm doing right now, so that people can have the trust that I represent them. And then if I'm going to tell people to get out in the streets, I need to be there with them. Okay? So building that bridge, I would act as the bridge. But wait, you said something about the police officers. Their morale is terrible. It's down the drain. Okay? They don't have a contract, and they're behaving like it. Okay? We have been leaderless for quite a while now. Right? And then everything that we know about the history about the director and the city council and the mayor and all this stuff has really, truly affected us. The 105 officers plus another 48 officers that retired and were not replaced. Those 105 officers are gone now. So when people say to you, 50 officers I'm going to bring on, where are you going to get that money? How long is it going to take to get them on the streets? But we have 198 officers. What are they doing?
Good question. Good question. All right, let's go into a little bit about you stated you were on Spring Street, and you talked really, really great and eloquently about providing opportunities. Trenton has a negative stigma attached to it. How do we begin to, as the mayor, begin to market and bring in corporate entities to begin to provide employment opportunities for the young people here who really do want to work but just don't have that? How do we begin to change that dynamic and bring people who will invest in the city and bring employment opportunities for our young people?
Well, believe it or not, there are many organizations right now out there who are very interested in our youth. Many of them, you know what I'm talking about, at least that one. But I had an opportunity to meet with the New Jersey Philanthropic Organization who manage grants and awards and talk about arts, jobs, economic development, and apprenticeship for our youth. They're very interested in coming to the city. We even talked about the possibility of using examples like Baltimore, Boston, Philadelphia, New York, and San Francisco, where they currently have paid representatives on the cabinet, where they advise the mayor, and then they provide funding to support opportunities for our youth. There's people who want to help this city, okay? And they understand the situation that we're in, but they don't want to do it with people who are not credible.
All right, we've touched on Paul Perez. We've touched on you as the individual, the political figure. We've touched on public safety. We've touched on infrastructure. Now you know we're going to hit the home run with the biggest piece of the puzzle, which is really the core mindsets. What's Paul Perez's vision? Clearly now one of the hot button topics is public education and our charter schools. And there is clearly a war going on between charters coming in and we trying to solidify and rebuild our public educational system. Where are you at with either or, and what's your vision to rebuild a broken educational system in the city of Trenton?
Well, one point of clarity, what I'll say is, if you're doing something good, you stay on the team. Okay? But if you're not doing something good, you're no longer on the team. All right? So that's plain and simple. But I come from the public schools. My children went to public schools. I know what the public schools can do. Also, the majority of our children are in the public schools. So I need to focus on where the majority of my children are right now. And I always go back to this, and please indulge just for a second. Our children are hungry. Our children are homeless. Our children are abused. Our children are transient. Our children are sick. Our children live a life of violence, right? These are the types of problems that our children face on every day that they go home and play or try to play, whatever it is that they're trying to play, and then attend school. And then for somebody to come up with a system where you have a tombola and a number, And now they have to go through, the strain of hoping that that number comes out. We don't need to do that to our children. We need to focus on how do we look at the possibility of creating a system that truly looks at behavior, at mental issues, at homelessness, at providing parents assistance so that they can get educated, parenting skills, give children an avenue where they can escape and not go necessarily to drugs, either through music, art, or some other escape, maybe even clergy.
We have in Trenton a phenomenal area that we haven't really touched on, and that's the arts community, arts and culture community. You have Sage Coalition. Two of the biggest events that happen in this city is Art All Night and the Trenton African American Pride Festival. What's Paul Perez as mayor going to do to begin to market and push these major events so that we can begin to have positive imagery when it says, we are Trenton, Trenton I am from Trenton, and these two major areas that it really bring 10 to 30,000 people into the city? How is Paul Perez going to be an ambassador for those two events?
The events are already successful, as you stated. So now what we have to do is tap into how do we make it successful for our people who live here. Okay? So how do we surround those events with small businesses that can sell their wares too? How do we provide them an opportunity to engage that 10,000 plus of surge of people that come into our cities? We need to create an environment that's inclusive of everyone. Not just because you signed an application and you became part of that event, but you need to be around that event to expand from it and demonstrate that Trenton has more than just that. So that would be one. I think the other thing is we need to tap into the 32 cultures that we have here and show them off and demonstrate that we are truly inclusive, right? Because that would be a great thing. And then what we truly need to do is continue to invite everyone across the country to come to Trenton and ask them, are there other things that we can be doing that can help us? Don't ever stop asking for money, because there's a lot of people that want to give you that money. You just need to ask them. Don't ever stop thinking about the people who are currently here, invested in this city, who need opportunity. And if you got music, you're going to have a security guard there, because I might want to play.
All right. Let's talk a little bit about vision. Okay. The downtown area. Clearly, we have a number of state workers who won't come there. Right. And I always say it jokingly, but it's real. Until we really clean that up and stop the New Jack City mentality that's going on down there, how do we begin to cultivate a cultural hub? And we're the capital city. Downtown area should have shops. It should have a cigar place. It should have places where the state workers can invest that money here, and big corporations come here. Maybe an Old Navy. We once at one time had McDonald's and Geno's, and the Mayfair was there. I don't know if I'm taking you back a little bit there. Okay, let me find out. All right. But how do we begin to rebuild that downtown area so that we can utilize our geographical position, being in between Philadelphia and New York, and make people really want to come back to Trenton?
Well, once again, if you have a mayor that doesn't go downtown, nobody else is going to go downtown. Okay? So you see me downtown all the time. Okay? That's why I chose this office, because I like to be downtown. We got to do away with the perception that the city is not safe. Okay? Just because we're black or brown doesn't mean that we're criminals. That's right. Okay? And just because we're standing in a corner doesn't mean that we're doing something illegal. Okay? But you do have to engage them. Okay? So that's the first thing. Kill the perception. Change that perception that the city is unsafe. Then I would knock on the door and I would probably ask Governor Christie to have a discussion about what's called space management. Okay. Inside the state capitol, they currently have shops and everything. You know that? Yep. Restaurants and cafeterias and everything. I would ask them very nicely, can we work out a deal where you do away with those and allow your people to come back outside so that they can engage our people? But we do need to up the product. Okay. And in order to up the product, we need to talk to organizations like TDA and let them know, look, stop bringing us the dollar store. Yeah. Give us some respect. We will buy because we have money. That's right. But we don't need the dollar store, you know, and that would definitely help us change that. But now people are always going to talk about what's your security plan for downtown. So I got to talk about that.
Okay.
You have the state police, you have the Mercer County Police, and then you have our Trenton Police. We need to create a joint force there.
Right.
We can create a business district, right, that outlines or squares off where most of these buildings are and where these people travel every day. Whenever you travel abroad or anywhere else, they have what they call tourist districts. And in those tourist districts, what they have is elevated or enhanced penalties. If you commit a crime in those areas, then they have enhanced penalties. That's to keep the people who want to commit crime or want to hurt people who are doing business down there away. And they understand, don't come in here because this is our livelihood.
Right.
And people will understand it. We do it right now when it comes to schools.
Right.
We have enhanced penalties.
Right.
We can introduce that into our business district.
Okay.
But we got to be smart about what we do. So understanding the tools that are already available to us and using them properly, we can get away with this.
Very well said. All right, let's bring it to the forefront and we can close this out. How does Paul Perez come in, jump in the fight, and knock off a few people who were already solidified here, and now moves himself into a runoff? You know, there's some people saying, man, how did he do that? So what was people's decision to run with Paul Perez? And then talk a little bit about how people arrived at moving past old vanguards for the new tradition. Talk a little bit about it.
Well, when you spend a lifetime practicing on how to hurt people, you get good at it.
I like that.
And then what happens is you don't know how to help people, right? So all I had to do was come in and demonstrate that I know how to listen, that I know how to stretch my hand out, that I know how to welcome them into my team, and that we can work together. And when they saw that, at first, there was rejection because it was abnormal. And then we had to work with them and condition them and say, guess what? This is normal. That what you're used to is abnormal. Then it became very easy for them to reject what they have seen. Okay? 30 years, 24 years of post-civil rights opportunity. Nobody did this to us. We did it to ourselves. And we can count the different names of who were the ones who benefited the most while our people continue to suffer. And then guess what? They're back.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the transition and moving forward. Ugly rumor, I'd like to get it out of the way, or ugly thought that people are putting in the air now that this has become a black versus brown thing. That's really ugly. I like having those kind of conversations so we can be clear on where you are and what Paul Perez is about. Can you dispel that's not what this is about? This really should be about unifying all of Trenton. I heard you mention 32 different cultures here. So why is there this ugly stigma of now this is Paul Perez versus black versus brown? Can you straighten that out?
That's some people. That's that group of people that know how to hurt people.
Right.
And what they want to do is they want to play on your mind. Because why don't they ask me to debate them? Why don't they say, Paul Perez, come over here. We want to ask you, what's the solution to downtown, just like you just did? Because I got an answer.
Okay.
Paul Perez, why don't you come over here so that I can tell you exactly what I've done these past 20 years when I tell people I have 20 years of municipal experience.
Okay.
You know why? Because they can't do it. And the only thing they got is money, power, a name, right? And we see what they've done. They're responsible for this. I have no heartburn calling Eric Palmer out. Oh, I mean Eric Jackson out. See?
Okay.
But I'm going to leave that in the tape anyway.
All right.
Because it's true. Eric, you know, during this whole campaign, and I hope that he sees this tape, I treated him with respect. I gave him my hand. I gave him a hug. We blessed each other.
Right.
And then he has the audacity to try and discredit what I have personally worked for the past 30 years. That demonstrates to you that what I've been telling you is true. If they do this to me, I guarantee you they're going to do it to you. Unfortunately, for the most people who don't know, they don't realize it's being done to them. And that's why we have what we have. We can't keep doing this.
Right.
The choice is obvious. That's why the people are almost in an uprising in the street. We go through that street, nobody is talking about color but them.
Right.
Nobody. Right. Not one. Edith Savage Jennings just endorsed me yesterday.
Okay.
And she said, this election is not about race, it's about character. And that's what you teach a child. Character. You teach them honesty. You teach them standards, principles to live by and to uphold. That's the new vision for Trenton.
Okay, we'll go 2 more questions. We'll close it out. So we've reached out to Eric Jackson, so we're gonna see if he would do the same. But here's the question, so we're on record with it. Would you like to have another debate with him? Because now would be ideal. Before we had 9,000 people debating, so you had to hear little snippets of their campaigns, but now it's 2 people. We can hear, you extensively go into your platform. You can actually debate, and you guys can lay out the facts about where you are and where you're taking the city. Would you like to debate Eric Jackson?
The answer to that is obvious, absolutely. And then I'm going to give you some homework, Eric. Look, education. You need to understand what early intervention means, okay? Let's do that, okay? And we need to understand that we need a roadmap to success for our children, okay? That includes the parents, the teachers, a new board of education, and a superintendent who wants to be here. That's what we need to do first, okay? Then the next thing we need to do is get middle schools and concentrate on solidifying the basic educational principles learned in middle schools to teach our kids not about high school but beyond high school, so that they can know that it's not a dead end at 12th grade. They need to know that they're going to be competitive beyond high school. So there's a snippet about my education platform, which is the most key to what we're doing. The fact that we need to understand that that is our number 1 asset in this city. That's like gold. And we need to concentrate on that. $286 million. What are you doing with that money? What are you doing with that money? In that one debate, he said we need more money. You haven't even counted the money we have. And we need more money. We need real leadership. That's what we need. We need somebody that understands how the world looks beyond this border. We need to be able to have reach-back capabilities so that we can bring smart people in that can say, you know what, Trenton is not that bad, and I want to help. We need to be ready to say, I don't have all the answers. We need to be ready to say, I need you. Come on in here. Okay? Not put on a nice suit and walk around and have somebody chauffeur you around. Now, I'm being chauffeured because they keep attacking me, you know. Okay, I want to put that out there, too. It's out there. All right? You know, you go out there and you pay a water bill, and they put this phony situation where somebody tries to attack you, and then they quickly take a picture and put it out there. That's what they do. Okay? So if they do it to me, they're going to do it to you. That's what they're going to do. This is where we are, Trenton. We are on the verge of going into a new direction. We are on the verge of changing the way that we live. But we have to be serious about what we're doing, and we need to listen to the people who are talking to us. And when you hear them say something like, it's Latino versus black, look at me. Look at me. Can you see me?
See.
Okay, let me see something. Because I don't see no difference here. All right? And I'm just as black as you are. Right? My roots are Afro-Caribbean. Right? America did not have a monopoly on African slaves. You need to go back and take your history lessons. Okay? Stop using that. When they say that, all they're doing is trying to keep us down. That's what they're doing. They turn around and they say, well, we need something for our people. We need you to stop messing with our people. Okay? That's what's happening.
All right, we'll close it out with this one. I'll let you answer both of them, and then you can give your closing words, whatever you want to frame it, because we are at a runoff juncture, and you want people to be able to make a clear and distinguished choice on who's who. But the last one would be and one question I wanted to get to earlier, so I'll give it to you now. People are certainly concerned about going forward, and the last mayor had a horrific relationship with city council.
Right.
What's going to happen with Mayor Perez as, in terms of building that solidified relationship where 8 people now may not agree on everything, but they will agree to work.
Throughout the course of my career, I have always been in situations where I had to come in and become a leader and work with people who I've never met before. Okay? And it was the leadership style, it was the leadership qualities that allowed us to establish a rapport. A leader knows how to work that. Okay? And a leader knows how to listen, like we said. A leader knows how to bring people together. And it doesn't matter how you voted, but you got to find that common interest. That's what's been missing in Trenton. The common interest is the good of the people. Focus on the good of the people, and we'll do it every time. But if you get sidetracked on personal issues, you're not going to be successful. Paul Perez is a leader. Doesn't matter who's in city council, because I'm going to do my best to ensure that we have a functional business process in City Hall that's responsive to the needs of the people, that's going to be accountable to the taxpayers, that's going to have a true system in place where we truly evaluate, review, and put together our positions when we ask for money and when we spend money, so that when people sit down and ask us a question, we're not scratching our heads and wondering, well, Jolanda told me, but she's not here, so I don't know what to tell you. It shows professionalism. Then it makes the job of the council easier, because they say, okay, I see, I understand your vision. Okay, I agree. Or, I don't agree with this point. So let's talk about what happens if we fix this. And guess what? We started off by saying, I don't have all the answers. So I'm sure there's going to be somebody on council that's going to know something that I don't know. Just got to be ready for it and say, you know what? Come on, let's talk about this. You don't throw your hands up and say no, because when you do that, the people suffer.
All right, last question. I'll let you get up out of here. You have things to do. Really, we're at that place, and their voters is looking at you right now. And the question is it Eric Jackson or is it Paul Perez in the runoff? Look them in the eye and tell them what's the difference and why should they go for Paul Perez?
Well, it's been Paul Perez all the time. They just didn't know it. You know what I'm saying? That's the truth. That's the bottom line. These machines that we have can prop up any puppet they want to. Okay? But I am a product of the people. The people got me here. The people are tired of them. The people said, you know what? This is our guy. And when we work with the people, we can overcome anything. These guys had millions of dollars behind them. Some of them had, 15 different advisors, talking to them, whispering them in their ears. I had the people. And I'm going to continue to have the people. And I work for the people, right? For the people, by the people, right? That's who I am, and that's what it's going to be. Paul Perez come June 10th, right? Now, real quick, I want to end on this one.
Yes, sir.
Very slightly. I'm just going to change it a little bit. This is for the whole Trenton, and especially the African-American community. A vote for Paul Perez on June 10th will give us a big celebration on Juneteenth.
You didn't try to get a little deep, did you?
Just a little bit.
All right. So I want to thank Paul Perez for coming on and spending time, give us a chance to look at his mind, his platform, his vision for the city of Trenton. I don't want to get cursed out, so I'm definitely going to hand this microphone to Lanny and let her close us out because she's liable to slap somebody. I want to thank you for coming on, bro. Very well versed as always. Certainly looking forward to moving this city forward with you in terms of your campaign, your ideas, and your vision. So, Lanny, you want to close us out?
Yes, thank you. I definitely want to say thank you for the interview. You guys did a wonderful job. That is why I sat back. And I was like, okay, good, because everything I was thinking, you was hitting it. So you didn't leave out anything. You did a wonderful job, Paul. Good luck to you. June 10th is coming. The people are going to decide. Continue doing what you do. Continue to keep God first, and it's going to be all right. Free. That's my partner over there. So listen, I'm your host, Yolanda L. Robinson, and my partner over here, Darren Freedom Green. We just got finished talking to Paul Perez. Sit back, don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more On the Real TV.